Hey everybody, this is West Virginia Overtime with Sam, and I am sorry if my voice starts crackling. I have been a little bit sick, but I wanted to get some episodes out and really touch base with you guys. I wanted to apologize just again for our WWE review being a little bit late, so I definitely wanted to make sure we got our AEW uh, review for October 23rd 2019 out as soon as possible. It was in Pittsburgh tonight, and it is, for me, I was wanting an extremely exciting show because they're going to be in Charleston, West Virginia next week, and I really wanted this show to set up that show. We already knew that the tag team championships were going to be decided next week in Charleston, so I was really, really happy when tonight's show opened up with both of them. When it started, it did not start with any entrances. It didn't start with any pyro. They literally opened the show with both teams already in the ring, ready to go. And it was Private Party versus the Lucha Brothers. I felt that the opening started out a little bit shaky. I thought there were a couple botches in the first couple move sets, and I was thinking, oh, I don't know if this is going to be a good match or not, because I didn't think that they were on the same page. I don't know a whole lot about Private Party. Having seen the Street Profits from WWE the other night, I thought, is this kind of a same team as the Street Profits? And they definitely aren't. They're better than the Street Profits. Look like they've got a lot more experience and a lot more movesets. I am already big fans of the Lucha Brothers. Haven't seen them a lot. I've saw matches here and there, like in the Ring of Honor and New Japan and stuff, but haven't really seen the Lucha Brothers and not a lot. Now I have read about them, read about Phoenix and Pentagon and how great they were, but was really looking forward to seeing them. Enjoyed them coming out and kind of tackling and hurting SCU last week. That kind of got me excited. So after the tags were made in this match, it seemed like Private Party started working together more on their team moves. They seemed to kind of gel as a team, and they seemed like they were getting up. So that automatically, to me, means when you're, going on a formula that the Lucha Brothers are going to win. That they're letting Private Party get over a little bit, and then the Lucha Brothers are just going to come back and tear them up. And that's kind of basically what happened. The Lucha Brothers pulled off some very unbelievable moves. I'm not a big tag team wrestling fan. Told you that last week. But I'll tell you what, the Lucha Brothers have really won me over. I'm really excited about seeing them in person next week. I feel like that the tag team division is really strong in AEW, and I know that that's one of the reasons why they're highlighting it, but they haven't completely won me over. So I was a little disappointed that last week was tag team heavy, and then again this week I felt was really tag team heavy, and just I kind of I'm wanting to see more storylines with single wrestlers or factions, and we're going to get to that in a minute. But they announced that Christopher Daniel, I mentioned earlier, that the Lucha Brothers attacked SCU last week as they were coming out. They hit Christopher Daniels pretty good last week Scorpio Sky had to take over for him in the match, and they announced that Christopher Daniels has a pinched nerve and that he's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks. I was really hoping to see him in Charleston. I love the fact that he has the half microphone like Freddie Mercury, and how he dresses up in his uniform. And so I was really wanting to see a promo by him in Charleston, and am disappointed that he's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks. I hate that for him. With him being an older wrestler, I hope that it is not real, and if it is real, then that it's nothing serious. I love SCU, and I think one of the things that really got me liking them in Ring of Honor was how they talk, their promos, their cockiness, how they always say no matter where they are that it's the worst town they've ever been to. Can't wait for them to say that about Charleston next week. I hope they let them talk. They didn't do that this week. And so they kind of came out, and the announcers were making a big deal about how they were being serious and they were focused and all of that. And, if you're really concentrating on sports, then that's all great. But that's not really what I watch wrestling for. I really like the storyline, so I wanted to see SEU do a promo, and I really hope that they do one next week. I knew absolutely nothing about the Dark Order. I'm so glad that the announcers explained that they kind of disappeared for 6 years, because I had never heard of them. I had not even heard of them as a singles wrestlers, or even in another tag team or anything like that. So I couldn't root for the Dark Order. I couldn't get into this match. I know that they come out with their little minions, or the creepy crawlers, or whatever you want to call them, but I don't know why. I don't know the backstory on it, so it's really hard for me to get into the Dark Order. I was not shocked, but I guess pleasantly surprised that the Inner Circle with Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, and Santana and Ortiz came with their tickets, walked through the crowd, went up to their suite, and that we got to see them react during this match, because that's kind of what kept me from fast forwarding it, because I was not at all into the Dark Order and really wanted SCU to win, but wasn't into it enough where I was rooting or, marking out for anybody. So I did watch the match. SCU got a big win, and I wanted to see what the Inner Circle was going to do. Now, I had watched AEW Dark. It is on YouTube on Tuesday nights. They show the Dark matches that are held before and after the TV tapings, and was really shocked watching AEW Dark that Joey Janela and Kenny Omega were in a dark match, and it was an unsanctioned, no holds barred basically match. It was really, really good. And so when they came out tonight and we're going to do a regular match, I was really surprised, and I was looking forward to this. I have been really impressed with Joey Janela in a lot of matches. I totally enjoyed his match with Jon Moxley at Fyter Fest. I think that he is very inventive. His moveset, he doesn't seem to be afraid to do any move, whether it be a power move on the mat or jumping off the rings or posts or barricades or anything like that. I talked earlier last week about how I am not impressed with Kenny Omega. I have heard about him for probably 2 or 3 years, how he is the greatest wrestler ever, and I am just not impressed with him. I don't know if it's how he carries himself. I feel like he is too laid back for me. He reminds me of a surfer dude that could care less. And in this match, this was kind of a down match. After the two tag semifinal matches, to decide who was going to go for the championship, I just really felt that the energy was really down in this match. I wasn't uh happy with Joey Janela. I was expecting more energy, more excitement from him, and I don't know. I just didn't get into this match. I love the live look-ins, how they're kind of creating storylines about the inner circle, and you were watching Chris Jericho react and Sammy Guevara interplaying and interacting with Jericho. I like that. I love that the announcers are telling stories and that they're giving you the backstory of these wrestlers that you don't know. They were really putting Joey Janela over and talking about him a lot. And I feel like these announcers, since they added Tony Schiavone, have really gelled. And I knew JR was going to give us the backstories, but Schiavone is really helping him help us get to know these wrestlers, and they're the ones kind of creating the storylines. They're letting the storylines play out in the ring, but they're letting the announcers kind of paint the picture. Omega went over in this one as far as winning and with the one-armed angel, but like I said, I really wasn't into this. They came back from commercial, and I was pretty excited about Cody's entrance. I love his new entrance. I love that the lights go off and that he comes up out through the stage, and that he was going to be interviewed by Tony. He was going to make an announcement, and he was also, I think, going to pump the match with Chris Jericho. I absolutely loved that Chris Jericho was up and the inner circle was doing the horns, the air horns, and that they gave Jericho a microphone. Enjoyed Cody's I'm going to come get you attitude, that I'm going to take care of this. And Jericho just being his normal cocky self and saying, come on, it'll be 4 against 1. We'll have some fun. Let's go. And so when Cody stopped, I was like, now, Cody, you've got to go up there. You're going to look like a coward. So was pretty excited when Dustin's music hit and he came out. I was worried that Dustin was going to take a back seat in AEW, that he really they were going to place him in semi-retirement, and they really haven't. They have let him be out front and center with Cody, and so I was pretty excited to see him. I love MJF. MJF, Darby Allin, and Jon Moxley are my favorite wrestlers of this particular company. So to see MJF come out, I was popping big. I think he is going to be the next it wrestler for the next 20 years. He's got that it factor, and was super excited that he came out. I am not a fan of DDP. I didn't really pay attention to him when he was a wrestler, and then him getting hurt and having some issues and having to take care of those, and then him creating DDP Yoga and basically selling that on every podcast that is around. I am sick of DDP. So I was not one of the fans that was marking out when DDP came out. I didn't see him do anything. If you saw him fighting with anybody or you saw him actually do something, then hit me up. You can write me at wvovertime@gmail.com, or you can hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Our Twitter handle is at OvertimeWV. I don't think DDP really did anything. I think he was just there to say he was there. But loved it when the four of them went up after the Inner Circle. Of course, the Inner Circle, they locked the door. And, that makes sense as far as they just weren't going to play with them. Loved it. Absolutely loved it that Cody broke the glass and got in, that they fought in the concourse. Loved that, Cody was hitting Jericho at the Dippin' Dots stand. Really, really got into it when MJF and Sammy Guevara were kind of doing their standoff and fighting and everything. I think with, MJF being 23 and Sammy Guevara being 26, I think that's going to be a big rivalry, and that it can really be used for the next decade or two to really make these two going to be legends. So was really excited about that. Wasn't really understanding until the announcers explained Chris Jericho has tickets. He has the right to be there, whereas the other four, you can't go out and assault a fan. So that's the reason why Cody and his crew were being detained by the police. And they later said that they were being detained there at Pitt. I really didn't understand that. I guess they didn't want to go so far as to say that they had been arrested and taken to the police station or whatever. Looking forward to some kind of announcement or something like that to come out tomorrow or early this morning and tell us what exactly is happening with Cody and with Jericho and what is going on. We've got 3 more matches, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the dark matches. But let's take a break real quick. Let me get something to drink so that my throat won't give out on me, and I'll be right back. Hey everybody, I wanted to tell you about Anchor. It's what I'm using to make this podcast. I use it not only because it's free, but because it's easy. I can record and broadcast anything and everything right from my phone, or I can use a computer. It allows me to edit things, and it has everything I need just in one place. And not only that, you can make money from your podcasts. But what you have to do is you've got to go download the free Anchor app. Go to anchor.fm just to get started. And then send me a link. I want to hear your podcast. Hey, this is Sam, and I'm back. We're going to go over the last 3 matches fairly quickly. The first 2 didn't really, they kind of disappointed me, so we'll go through this quick. But I wanted to take a minute here and remind you guys that you guys can contact us if you're listening to this on Anchor, or if you'll get on Anchor and look up WV Overtime's podcast, you'll see where you can leave us a voicemail message about anything that we're talking about, and we'll play that on air and talk about it. Or if you've got a question or anything, feel free to leave us a voicemail message. You can also reach us on WV Overtime on Instagram, on Facebook. Our Twitter handle is at OvertimeWV, and you can always write us on email, wvovertime@gmail.com. We are very responsive. Want to remind you guys that we're still into middle school and high school sports. You're going to get an update on that right after this, actually. If you're listening to this and you want to hear about West Virginia sports, we are going to be doing a podcast on that right after this. this. So if you've got any sports scores, pictures, stats, updates, anything that you want us to talk about as far as West Virginia sports, please hit us up. So let's kind of get back into AEW, and we got another tag team wrestling match, and as soon as I heard that, I was like, I don't want this. I don't want to see 3 tag team matches. I really don't. I don't want to see this much. I know that the Young Bucks are superstars. I still don't want to see them. We've already had some, and they were exciting, and I don't want to see this garbage. But, the announcers explained that this was kind of, the runner-up match. I don't like the Best Friends. I don't get them. I don't understand their storyline. I hate them hugging in the ring. That gets on my nerves. I want somebody to clothesline them while they're doing that. And so I just couldn't get into the Best Friends. The coolest thing about the Best Friends is that every once in a while Orange Cassidy shows up with them. And he did tonight. And I love Orange Cassidy. I like how he kind of acts like a slug, and that he does the little kicks that I can do, and that if you knock off his sunglasses, that he really just hits it. And so I was really looking forward to someone knocking off his sunglasses tonight, and of course it didn't happen. He was outside the ring, and the Young Bucks come in, and the Young Bucks did, all their movesets that they normally do. Again, I talked about this last week. I kind of find them the same way that I find Kenny Omega. I don't like them. I don't like how they carry themselves. I don't like their attitudes. Yes, they're excellent wrestlers. I will give them technique props all day long. But as far as me getting into them, I just can't do it. And I'm very glad that they are not in the tag team championships. I really didn't want to see them. But I understand that they're stars and that they're really, really good. And so after they won against the Best Friends, they get on the mic and they accept the challenge that Santana and Ortiz made last week to take each other on at Full Gear, the pay-per-view, on November 6th. And I'm kind of confused. I feel like the Young Bucks versus Santana and Ortiz is the huge match. And I feel like that's really going to be overshadowing no matter who wins the tag team championships next week. I feel like that is a match of the year match. And so even if the Lucha Brothers or SCU put on the best match ever next week and take the championships, I really feel like this Santana Ortiz Young Bucks match is just going to overshadow that and get the fans to think that is actually the championship match, because that's 2 great teams. And so I'm really confused about them doing that and making that creative decision. Not sure where they're going with that. I enjoyed the vignette that they did right after with Britt Baker and Pittsburgh being her hometown, and I kind of thought that that's what they were going to do, that they were just going to give her a vignette. Maybe she was going to come out and be with the crowd. I had no idea that she was going to wrestle. I really wasn't impressed with Jamie Hayter. I didn't know her. I didn't know that she was B. Priestley's tag team partner. After they said that, it made a little bit more sense why Britt Baker was taking her on, but just really didn't feel like this was, a second to last match of the night match. I understand it was her hometown and they wanted to show her off, but just I didn't think it was that great of a match. Didn't really keep me interested. However, when they were interviewing Jamie Hayter in the back, and Brandy Rhodes attacked her. That really got my interest up. I was kind of wondering, no, wait a minute, why is Brandy Rhodes attacking her? I know Brandy Rhodes is trying to get into wrestling and has really been practicing and learning, her moves and really wanting to come on strong. So for her to come out of the blue and attack her and kind of start a new storyline, I am interested in that. So am, kind of excited that happened. Was really pumped for the main event. John Moxley and Pac. Really was looking forward to this match. They are two great performers. I liked them both in WWE. Really have been impressed with Pac since he has left the WWE. His moveset has expanded so much, and he has totally changed his character as far as getting meaner, as far as, playing the bad guy. I really am enjoying him and his character progression. However, was a little confused because I understand that the crowd really gets into Moxley, but feel that Moxley's character is really unhinged. Is really, breaking out of this prison and becoming who he truly is, and I feel like he's a heel also. So for, this heel versus heel match to happen was a little, who do you root for, who are you going to watch? Now, I understand that Moxley, with his popularity, is almost like Jericho or almost like MJF, where they are heels, the audience knows they're heels, however, they can't help but cheer them. And so you are hearing a lot of the fans go crazy for Moxley. So was kind of looking forward to this. So, Moxley's music hits, he comes out, and out of the blue, Pac just does not wait and nails him with a chair. Was a little shocked that AEW let that happen after, Sean Spears hit Cody wrong with the gimmick chair and busted him open. I really wasn't sure that Tony Khan was going to let something like that happen again. He was real concerned about blood happening again on TV. So I don't know whether they had to practice this or, Pac had to give his word to Tony Khan or something. So for him to hit Moxley from behind with a chair, that did shock me a little bit. And then thought it was really cool that he kind of pulled Moxley's jacket up and started choking him with it. And I was a little nervous. I was checking my time because I was thinking, is the bell going to ring? Are we even going to have a match? And when I saw Moxley get up, I was like, yeah, we're definitely going to have a match. And, there was a good 20 minutes left. So I thought we're going to have a pretty good match. And of course you hear the bell ring, and I was real interested. I love JR. I hate it that he has Bell's palsy, and that sometimes when he gets real excited, you have a hard time understanding him. But I think he is the ultimate announcer because you see Pike throw Moxley on the floor and do a 480 on him, and JR immediately starts talking about how the referee needs to get out there. The referee needs to check Moxley, needs to make sure he can continue to go, make sure, look at his eyes. And JR starts describing like how the safety of the athlete really needs to be the most important thing. And Moxley was doing an excellent job of selling while JR's explaining this, and I think that's what makes AEW. is the fact that they're letting JR tell this story and bring up this topic that has been in sports for, the last year or two, about concussions, about CTE, and about safety of the athlete. And then there's Moxley, and he sells so well that it is really intriguing to me, and I got into this. Um, then Moxley gets back in. I enjoy his pyro game. He really didn't get to show that off enough, I don't think, in the WWE, but he has a strong pyro game on the mat, doing different move sets. You can see how much quicker and faster he is, that he's gotten in shape, and that he is doing a different exercise program. His uh, lariats, I believe is what Excalibur was calling them tonight, but basically his clotheslines, his arm uppercuts, the European uppercuts, I believe is what they're called, that Cesaro does a lot of tonight, were really strong. So I enjoyed Moxley's power game. But I also like him flying around and being dangerous and doing the suicide dives and jumping off things. So I really enjoyed the comeback that Moxley had. I like how AEW has the time limits now, and that they were counting down, and I thought that Moxley on the first cover, I thought he was going to win it with, I guess it was 5 seconds left. I think is what they were counting down to, was 5. And then you saw him cover him again, and you just knew he was going to run out of time. And it was a time limit draw. And I was not thinking it happened so fast. But had I had, a second or two to process it, I would have figured out that Jon Moxley was going to go crazy. So when he did, I mean, that fit his character so well. I absolutely love that he immediately turned to the referee, did the double hook DDT on him, and just slammed that referee, and was like, I, hate this. I believe that I got the count. I can't believe it was time limit draw. And boom, they go off the air. They timed that perfectly and kind of left you hanging. And so I'm real excited about Charleston next week. It is said, I just checked the website before I did this. You're going to see SEU go against the Lucha Brothers for the Tag Team Championships. Chris Jericho and Jon Moxley are still scheduled to both be in action. I can't see them taking on each other, but we're going to get matches from Chris Jericho and Jon Moxley. I am hoping beyond hope that we somehow get to see Darby Allin, Sammy Guevara, and MJF and Cody, because I just, those four I love. I think they're absolutely awesome. Saw on a message board in Baltimore that after the last Dart match, after the TV went off, it was approximately about 10:35 when they finished up in Baltimore, that for the fans that stayed, a lot of fans left during the Dart match, and a lot of fans left immediately after the Dart match. But this guy wrote on one of the bulletin boards that about 10 minutes after the Dart match was over, Cody came out and personally thanked everyone that was left. He shook their hands, he took pictures, he was really appreciative, number one, that they stuck around, and number two, that they were supporting AEW. So I plan on staying for a little bit. After the last Dart match, I really want to see if any of the athletes come out and they do that in Charleston, especially with Charleston not getting a big time TV show coming in 19 years. So, pretty excited about that. The dark matches that they did tonight that are going to be on AEW Dark next Tuesday are Dustin came out with Sunny Kiss, and they did a tag team against Peter Avalon, which is the librarian, and Michael QT Marshall. And from what was said, it was okay, but the crowd went wild about the librarian and started chanting that he sucks. And so I'm wondering what they're going to do about the librarian. But they said the dark match that brought down the house was Jimmy Havoc versus Jack Evans versus Darby Allin. And I'm telling you, I've seen Darby Allin and Jimmy Havoc twice now, and they put on unbelievable matches together. They've got some kind of chemistry together, and so I'm looking forward to AEW Dark. So, like I said earlier, hit us up with any questions, comments, problems, protests that you have, and let's talk about them. But that's your AEW review for tonight, and I don't have too many predictions about what's going to happen next week in Charleston, other than I am extremely excited and I hope to see all of you there. Thank you and have a good night.